Hey everybody, it's Jason again with On the Play Games, OTPG for short. Just sitting here with a little spread out of the legendaries from our second box of case number 2. We did not get a third box crack last night. By the time I finished getting everything uploaded to YouTube and then out to the different channels that I like to share out my content to. I realized it was past 1 o'clock, and like I said in previous videos, I still got a 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 that I try to, hold down the fort with my professional life. So had to go ahead and call it a night before we cracked another box. But hey, here we are today, or tonight in this case, with the new rig for recording the videos. I did notice in the last videos I did a little bit of tapping of cards on the table. I'm gonna try my best not to do that, so I definitely want to apologize for any strangeness that people noticed on the video feed from our case 2 box 2 video, which these are the legendaries from that box. So 5 legendaries. Obviously the now there are 2 of them being the best out of the pulls. It's starting to look like Chancellor Palpatine is the new Maul. And when I say that, I mean he's showing up a lot. I cracked 13 Mauls in 12 boxes last set. And I'm at a full play set of Chancellor Palpatines plus a foil Palpatine. So 3 regular frames and 1 foil. And we still have 4 boxes to go. So it's looking pretty likely like I'm going to have about 7 Chancellor Palpatines, which it's a little sad, but at the same time, it's a little cool. Plus, I want to go back and I want to correct myself on a couple things. I was looking up some of the rules, erratas. The Clone Wars does not allow you to continuously bring in units, and they have the Restore 2, and when they die, you replace them with a Clone Trooper. I don't know how much I agree with that. I feel like the card says your friendly units have for the phase. And it doesn't say each friendly unit in play for the phase. So we'll go with what the comprehensive rules goes with. I did not pass the apprentice test. I winged it without taking much time to it, and I regret that. The next go around that they allow us to do that, I do plan on knocking it out the box, and I understand why the questions I got wrong were wrong. So again, I definitely want to be on at least an apprentice, if not a level 1 status moving forward as we continue to do the hyperspace drive, or excuse me, sorry, said that completely wrong. Just flubbered that right up. It is the hyperdrive to the planetary qualifier series that we ran in season 0 between our 2 premier host shops. That is the official title. I'm giving you the first 2 shops. They are the premier shops, which means to me they get first dibs on dates and the way they want to organize between themselves and with us to bring another season as we hype up for the next round of planetary qualifiers. Literally just reached out to the last host of the Greenville planetary qualifier, Borderland Games, Comic and Games, excuse me. They did a phenomenal job for their first event. I did not get the judge's name. I've asked them for the judge's name because I really want to hype up how great and fast and smooth of a event he ran. It was pretty amazing to watch a shop that had never run an event of that size do as well as they did. By the way, make sure you stop by either Myrtle Beach Games or Xynergy Gamers. Myrtle Beach Games, obviously in the Myrtle Beach area, out of Socastee, and Xynergy Gamers out of Goose Creek near the Charleston area. Picked up some fresh sleeves from Zen Energy Gamers. Love this. I actually, at Borderland Games, I bought this. I want to show you this. It got a little ridiculous. I dove off the deep end. But I pulled this bad boy. I hope that's in the if the camera can pick that up while I was there. It is the Moff Gideon Dark Series helmet. I've got the batteries pulled on it so it doesn't light up, but it is gorgeous. Went ahead and bought a Darth Vader lightsaber and some big old boots. Ladies that wear the big old boots, I don't know how you do it. I could barely get both my legs in each boot. Got the left leg in. Right leg seems to be a little bit bigger. So didn't quite get that one zipped up all the way, so I had to pull off a little bit of a duct tape action, make sure the zipper didn't come down. But we got kind of silly with it, and we made up our own character, basically. But there's a shop out of New York that does custom outfits, and I am going to get that armor to go with that headset, or headpiece, that helmet, and it is going to be a full-blown Moff Gideon with the black interlined cloak and everything next year's Halloween. And I might even just walk into the planetary qualifier, or if I end up in Vegas for the Galactic, I think that's where that's heading out to be. I just may wear it just to wear it. Even if I don't get a ticket to ride in the event, I may still just have a little bit of Star Wars fun, because I may not be the biggest geek of Star Wars. I would say geek is a little bit hardcore than nerd. I'm probably more of a nerd, because I just love the whole concept of the universe that LucasArts has created and Disney has added to it. And you know, so you'll definitely hear me mispronounce names of characters, and there's some characters I have no idea where they fit in the clone series. So please forgive me, as I am not as familiar with the storylines and the lacana behind the lore behind it, as we open up some more packs. And so anyway, these are the 5 legendaries from box number 2. I've got the other box and its rares sitting there just off to the side, so I can kind of take a count. And then we have all these rares that came out of that box as well. And we talked about a few of them, and some of the ones I think that might get better over time. We definitely talked about Mr. Bones. If he doesn't see some form of constructed play in a Cad Bane double aggression, not Cad Bane, excuse me, in a Kylo Ren double aggression deck, you come back to this channel, you get in the comments, and you tell me just how much of a short-sighted individual I am about how constructed play actually will work. But I think Mr. Bones is going to be somewhere near a Kylo deck. And I think 5s actually is pretty decent. Unfortunately, its stat line makes it to where Poe Dameron just kind of crushes it. But, you know, if you can keep it around, put it behind a Sentinel, pick some clones up out of your discard pile and start drawing cards, you know, it does say when you play an event. So this can trigger multiple times in a turn. And that could be a thing. You know, I strike first, bam, I put a clone down, I draw a card. Over in Barrage, bam, I put a clone under my on the bottom of my deck, I draw a card. You know, I'm defending myself against mill decks because I'm kind of throwing cards back from my discard pile back into my deck, so I'm not really ending up with the deck with less cards because I'm putting one in and taking one out. But 5s is definitely on my radar as something that I want to kind of play. Might even be able to pull it into the Chancellor Palpatine, Darth Sidious flip leader. I'm definitely interested in that. I'm also hoping tonight that we finally find the Obi-Wan showcase card. that we have been desperately trying to find, because there is the man, top eight finalists, top 4 cut at the planetary qualifier, William Hannon. He is part of the Myrtle Beach shop team, and just did a phenomenal job with Green Sabine. He's been on that deck for a long time. He knows his lines, and I got lucky beating him in the final in the last match in the finals of the Myrtle Beach hyperdrive to the planetary qualifier event. We both had a situation in game 1 where we just did not play a card, and Sabine wants to definitely play a card. So that I got lucky there. Very fortunate to have been able to take that game. Previous matches that we had played, yeah, I won, but we went back and we looked at some things, and there were some misplays, and it wasn't clean. This was a pretty clean game. Just unfortunately, he had to mulligan, and his mulligan resulted in kind of a no first turn play situation. So big shout outs to William. We want to get him the Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you have a showcase Obi-Wan Kenobi and you would like to either trade or to sell it, reach out to Myrtle Beach Games. Tell him you want to talk to William. And William is a great guy. He's going to give you a great deal. He has tons of cards, so if you want to round out your play sets and all that good stuff, he is definitely the man to speak to. He is doing a case opening tomorrow night. I've been saying this for 3 days. Tomorrow night. Tomorrow night. And now officially, I got the official word from him that it is Thursday, November the 7th at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Opening up a case. He is going to give a box away. He is going to pay for the shipping to send it to you. So worldwide, doesn't matter where you are, that box is coming to you. On top of that, he's going to be giving away a set of the official Star Wars Unlimited tokens, the real deal Holyfields, which either I lost the yellow X for your epic action you had 2 of them in the bag for your base and your leader, or it didn't have one in there. But I've had, I showed you a box earlier in this series of box openings. Didn't have a foil in it. Last box we opened up, so many of them were upside down and turned around and stuff. So weird things do happen. And in this particular case, I don't think I got the second orange marker, but if I did, and I just, yeah, these things are not easy. They're not hard to lose. They can slip into little corners and everything. Now I realize I just don't have to, and so I'm also looking to watch that show, watch his airing of his case opening, with the first wonderful thing being winning a box, because I don't know if we're going to find a showcase now that we're down to 4 boxes left in the 2 cases and haven't hit one. But also, I'd love just to get another thing of the tokens, just so I could have them and grab the ones that I'm missing. And then I got a good buddy of mine that is here locally that may start playing some of the games live on this mat right here that I also got at Myrtle Beach Games. I'd love to give them a set of the real chips. It'd be really nice to, I look out for people to look out for me, and again, getting back to those that have been involved with the events. Myrtle Beach Games has looked out for us, been part of the inspiration, and Zenergy Gamers, Goose Creek, again, amazing shop. Both of these shops continue to show just amazing support to the players, and it's not just in Star Wars Unlimited either. These are shops that are really committed to gamers, so we want to make sure that word gets out. We're starting to see some subscribers. I obviously sent out some messages to kind of build up the YouTube channel subscriptions and hopefully over time, and some shares and some better content as we get into some gameplay later, that we see some growth there, and we're able to continue to help with the spreading of the word of the shops that are involved with this particular game right now. And you know, this channel, this YouTube channel is new, but on the Play Games, without the OTPG dash in the front, I've said that wrong several times in videos. It's just on the Play Games on Facebook. We really started as a Magic the Gathering focused chat group, basically. You know, we used to do Friday night Magic reports. I'd get 3 or 4 shops from the state, give me their, you know, what fired drafts, who won the drafts, how many drafts were fired, did they play constructed, what format did they play, if they could tell me like the name of the deck at least, you know, like anything like that. We hyped up those players that did well in the tournaments. And if you go on that page and you look now, there's already written articles from previous weekly events that around the Star Wars Unlimited game, where we, again, hyping the players. Everybody likes to see their name as a winner. At least that's my thoughts. And continue to hype, kind of giving a little bit of an insight of what the meta might look like if you come to one of these shops and you participate in the events, what you might be able to expect. And also, one other shout out, I'm going to make sure I put him in the link of this video. I really am sorry, Trevor, for not having you already mentioned at this point. But Mondo Deck Tech, check it out. He has some great deck ideas. This is a guy that travels around Virginia, North Carolina. I met him in South Carolina at Final Round games. Another shop that I'd love to have gotten them in the first Season 0 Hyperdrive event. Grand Line Games, I would have loved to have gotten them in as the third shop participating. But we got to a point where we had to pull a trigger. Time was pressing, and we barely had enough time to put 3 weeks between the two events, between the two shops. So really waited as long as we could. And I do plan on trying to reach out to those shops, and also maybe a shop in the mid-state. We want to have a third shop. And if we get out in front of this, and we're going to be meeting here soon with the managers and owners of the 2 premier shops that were part of our Season 0, and we will continue with Season number 1 in the bringing competitive, slightly more competitive play than your weekly events for players as they prepare themselves to get to the next planetary qualifier. And considering the fact that, you know, about 12% of the player base, as I said before, was from the coastal region and had something to do or had played in one of our Hyperdrive events. A 25% of the top 8 were part of our finalists in the Hyperdrive events, and 25% of the top 4 with William Hannons. Again, Hannons YouTube tomorrow night, the giveaway, Myrtle Beach games, all that stuff it all kind of ties together. It's a shame that he couldn't make it to the finals. One, so we didn't have the mirror match of Ray versus Ray, Ray Red versus Ray Red. You know, when he looked back at his gameplay, he saw where he made some errors and got off his lines, and the opponent who won the event, it was the Ray Red that actually won, that guy just, you know, you do your math, you do your numbers, you know your plays, you know your lines, and if you stay on them, you're going to do well. And that guy was on it all day long, on top of it. He beat me, I think, in round 2, I think. Or maybe it was the Boba Fett Red that made it into the top 8, was the guy who got me in like round 1. But one of the top 8 players got me in round 1, and then one of the top 8 players got me in round 2. So I started off the event with 2 straight losses to 2 players that ended up in the top 8. And from that point on, it was just kind of soul crushing. But you know, you live and you learn, and you survive and continue to thrive. That's just the way it's got to be. You gotta take your lumps when they come. So with no further ado, and with all that hype put in front and our featuring of the cards that we pulled out from the previous box, let's take a look and see what box number 3 out of case 2 can provide us for our collections and just for a little entertainment. So here we go with the first pack. When you like to keep it nice and fast. Remember, I put my leaders there. I just kind of tossed the lands over here. These, I'm just looking for a hyper. Whatever it is, doesn't even matter. We didn't even get one. And then my leaders are going to go here, or my rares, excuse me, are going to go there. And then look at that. We got right off the bat, a double rare, actually a legendary and a rare, foil rare, non-foil legendary pack right off the rip. So pretty nice. And unfortunately, we didn't get any hyperspace or, and not unfortunately, at least our foil was a rare. So, I mean, I can't complain about that pack. That wasn't too bad. At least paid for itself. And I've paid for probably this one here too. So let's see what happens. One thing I have noticed, I've just opened 2 packs and all the cards do seem to be in the right direction. So that's kind of nice to see. Last box, we had several cards in that final slot that just were upside down every time. Every time. By the way, still trying to figure out if there has ever been a foil basic base. I would love to get myself a copy of the Crystal City in foil. I don't think they exist. But yeah, it would be great. By the way, this card here, talking about Mondo Deck Tech earlier, this card is being used in the new Flip Palpatine deck as a turn 2 way of killing your unit to flip Palp for the first time, plus put a 3/2 in space and bounce your opponent's first turn play. How many things can I say this thing just did? I mean, that was like 3 things, right? Flip your unit, kill your unit so you can do it. Your leader, flip your leader, excuse me. Your leader's doing 2 points at the base, and you're killing off a cheap unit to begin with to get this out in the space, and you're bouncing. So, I mean, you get a unit, you get some damage on their base, and you bounce their turn per 1 play and create tempo. Be on the lookout for this guy. Mondo Deck Tech has something on a write-up on this in the Chancellor Palpatine deck. I'll make sure that that particular video is linked for you all to enjoy, because he does bring some good content to the table. And then we have her, Mos Amida. Again, terrible with the names. I don't know this character that well. I do recall it from the movies, but I don't know much about the background of that particular character and how it relates to her abilities on the character or anything. So any kind of information you guys want to share on some of these cards that I go ahead and admit that I don't know much about, please do, because everything you tell me is just, it's a learning experience. That's what every day needs to be for you to really be living your life the right way. You want to always be learning. You know, unmasking the conspiracy. Discard a card from your hand. If you do, look at an opponent's hand and discard a card. So it is a 1 casting cost, non-heroic. That's the big deal there. Non-heroic, 1 casting cost, non-heroic hand disruption. But you're 2 for 1-ing yourself. So this card, I feel, sits in a yellow Kylo Ren deck, where the cards you're discarding, you do this on turn 2. You use this card, you discard Kylo's type Phantom or Fighter, and then you play it back into play, and now you've done a turn 2 play where you've got a unit on the board and you looked at their hand and went, give me that. You don't get to keep that. So could be something that slips into some sideboards for some Kylo Ren decks to handle some of the more controlling decks or mid-range decks like Boba Fett kind of preys on it a little bit. But hey, guess what? We don't have to worry about that because they just decided to suspend the card. I don't know what the hell, I don't know what that means. What's the difference between a suspension and a banning? But the card is at least temporarily no longer sanctionable to play. And I really think that's a disjustice. You know, we got two sets, and we're already complaining about a deck or a leader that came from the very first set, this game, when it was first released and hyped. And between Boba Fett and Sabine, and maybe Han Yellow, those were really our three big decks. And so it doesn't surprise me that somebody just upgraded their Boba Fett deck, threw in, let's say Boba Fett Green. They threw in Mauls. They already had the Darth Vaders. They already spent $90 on the Darth Vaders when they came out. Why would they not play Boba Fett Green, right? So you get your Mauls, you get your McClunkies, you get your Salacious Crumbs, and the Mauls are down to like less than $10. So you're talking about $40. You've completely upgraded that deck, and the core is still the same deck. And you just play that deck. It's a good deck. It's a great leader. I can't deny the fact that it is a great leader. But it also is one of the most played decks out there. Sabine being right behind it. Same kind of, it wins a lot. It doesn't win as much, I guess, in the matchup against Boba Fett. There's another double rare, one being a foil. Or is that a legendary? Woo, look at me drop a card. Good lord. No, it's a rare. And, so those two decks represented like 75% of the meta or something like that between Boba Fett and Sabine. And then you had Han Yellow just barely having a sliver in there. And then you had Bosk, Rey, Red. You had Bosk, Rey, and new Han, Han Red. And, again, not every single leader and every card can be a winner. But in that scenario, if you wanted to go with, say, Han Blue, you were going to have Luke's, set one. You're going to have Obi-Wans. Then you're going to have Crate Dragons, Poe Damerons. And these cards are not cheap cards. These are expensive cards, $40 a pop. So that was an expensive deck to create from scratch, where you could just drop $40 or maybe even $50 and get into the just update your Boba Fett deck. Again, that's the card I would love to see in foil. That's gorgeous. The artwork on that is gorgeous. I want that. I don't think they make them. But I tell you what, if there is one out there, talk to me. I want one. I played the young Han Red, or what I called Capital City Han, and it was awesome. But I would swap out Capital City for a copy of that in foil in a heartbeat. Kid Fisto, just gonna tell you, he is a killer. He can kill Crate Dragons. He can kill Crate Dragons with Saboteur, leaving you a guy on the board, two dudes on the board, and he dies, but Crate Dragon is done, and you potentially have two dudes on the board unless they put 6 points of damage on one of your other units. It kills. I'm sorry, a little bit of a brain fart here. He kills Darth Vaders. He kills Poe Dameron, Wrecker, Maul. You name a unit. This kills walkers. So, and it's 6. It's ECLable. So not bad. I would not doubt that card could find its way into a Sabine deck, to be honest with you. Sabine can get wide, fast, and it usually can have coordinate going. William, failed you again, man. I am definitely collecting all of the non-hyper, non-showcase OB1s for you. So I hope that box, the case you open tomorrow, results in you getting the, because I am just failing to find when it comes to showcases. And I did really well the first time. I got 1 out of 2 cases for set 1. I'll probably make a video where there's some of the more little fancier cards that are in the shop on the Play Games inventory for grabs, and I will show off the showcases. The 2 that I have, one of them is Cassian, and the other from set 1, and the other one is I believe it was the new Boba Fett, a green-white Boba Fett, being the next. So we're still hopeful. We got over half a box left on this crack, and this will be the only box I have time to do tonight. We'll try to get on it a little bit earlier tomorrow, but the amount of time it takes to move the video to my computer, then from my computer onto YouTube, and all the checks that they do and all that, it's pretty difficult to do it in a timely fashion. It's about an hour, hour and a half of buffering and checking and all that. He gets raid 2. He just got a 4. No good. No good. Nope. You pay 4. They open fire and paid 3. And they have a resource open. And yeah, you're just behind. So no. That coordinate benefit is not good enough. I would have wanted... you would probably had to put raid 4 on that card. For me to want to try to jump into that action. And just wing it, because then now I'm hitting you with 8. Now I'll take a risk for 8, but for just 6, nah, I'll pay 1 more. Give me a Poe Dameron. That's all I gotta say. And I'll play heroic. There is one. I mean, I guess that's the one good thing you can say about the card is it's not committed to a heroic or villainy. It's just a standalone aggression aspect. So. Definitely. I'm doing that card tap again. I am sorry, guys. I am trying to make sure that the stability of this camera is a priority. I might just lower the boom so it's not sitting so high up. And that way it might take some of the wobble out of it. But I just want to be able to make sure you all can see. General's Blade. I think, you know what? I'm going to make my General Grievous meme deck. That's going to go in there. 100%. I'm going to make a silly, might throw, I believe Mace's says it has to go on a mace if the unit is Mace Windu. Did I pull one earlier? Am I just fooling myself? Yeah, I think it has to be on a Mace Windu for you to draw the 2 cards. And if that's the case, boo. I do know the Luke's and Vader's and all the ones that have the names of a Jedi or Force user have very specific benefits that only affect that particular unit with that name. So you're going to have to go with more like, what's the 3-drop red-black saber that was in Kylo decks all over the place. That or the Jedi lightsaber or you know, all the light. Unfortunately, the dark saber I do not believe has the tag lightsaber on the bottom of it. So that's a little sad face there. I'll have to double check, make sure I'm right, and feel free to mention in the comments if you're watching. I could be wrong about that. Could be a lightsaber, but I don't think that it is. And so it doesn't work with Grievous at all, which is you know, a bummer. But as we get more lightsabers, which we are bound to get more lightsabers, I mean, we are talking about Star Wars after all, right? Then General Grievous gets more and more entertaining. You know, there's a little more power every time we see a lightsaber put in print. So, and there are a lot of different lightsabers in the Star Wars universe. And yeah, it's, you know, I look forward to playing with some General Grievous. I saw again, Mando Deck Tech had his Chancellor Palpatine running 3 of them. I don't know how well that card would be in that deck. I didn't see any lightsabers. I also didn't see him play. Then there are 2. Then there are 2 of them. I think is the right name of that card. But he was playing the Zuckuss combo, and yeah, I just feel like you slipped 3 of those, and then there were 2 of them in the deck, and you know, put a mercenary gunship in the deck, and you basically have a turn 3 Zuckuss, like, or turn 2 Zuckuss, like every, you know, just maybe 30% of the time, every 3rd game. Mulligan hard for it. That might be a thing, you know. Not to mention Greedo and all these other underworld cards that are really cheap, that you could put out that your opponent might not kill, and if they go to your base and start racing you instead of going to your unit, just throw that card down and put another big fatty into play, and Zuckuss is a pretty big fatty on 3. Well, there we go. That's in Effie's Nest, hyperspace. Gore, which I personally am not sold on as a good constructed card. Limited play, bomb. But I'm not totally. I haven't figured out how I feel about Exploit. But I feel like if Exploit becomes a thing, then control decks become the answer to those things, because you consolidate all of your units and presence on the board into one target. And they're just like, fell the dragon. Done. Now, let's say I took full advantage of the 3 Exploit. Now I've killed 3 units, or defeated 3 units, and put that into play. So that's 4 units that have been, or 3 units that have been lost. That even if they were 2/2 tokens, is almost the same amount of power that this is. You're missing about 1 point. So again, it's like, how is he worth it? Where do you see it? He's not big enough. At 12, this guy should be an 9/9 or 10/10, and make it worth it. So yeah, Gore, I just think doesn't have what it takes to stand the test of time. So I would say don't buy them now, because they're going to be like bulk rares before it's all said and done. It's just a big ugly creature that unfortunately doesn't do enough. And if they just have the right removal spell, I mean, can you imagine if you had 3 creatures on the board and you sack those 3 creatures and play Gore for 6? Yay! You play the 7/7 for 6. You know, for 6, I could play Wrecker and have a 7/6 body that does 5 points of damage. So why? Doesn't even stand up to that. And then they just power the dark side. And yeah, you lose. You've wiped yourself out for no reason at all, other than to just set yourself up to just be annihilated by a decent control deck ran by a good player. Any good player sees you setting up for Exploit, they're just going to wait. You know, they'll trade with their little shielded, the clients and stuff like that, with your 2/2 tokens, if that's what you're doing to get there. They'll trade with those to kind of keep you down a little bit. And then when you go for it, or get ahead to where you can go for it, then you just drop a single removal spell, and all that effort you put into getting the board state to a place where you can play a card like Gore is gone. You know, you've lost it all. This guy is starting to show up everywhere in these packs. I'm getting a lot of these. And he's kind of like a cross between, like, if you took the Rebel X-Wing, the one that puts 2 counters on a unit, and a Fleet Lieutenant. And the reason I mixed the two is this has a better body than the space unit. You know, space unit's just a 2-1. Okay, so it dies to everything. This guy at least can take a hit from a lot of things, but he also doesn't give the immediate attack like shortcut play. I think that's the official. It's a shortcut to an action that Fleet Lieutenant gives you. But he is the same number of stat points as a Fleet Lieutenant, the same cost, doesn't have to be heroic, isn't a Jedi, doesn't require you, isn't a rebel, doesn't require you to put it on a rebel. Choose a rebel, get a +1/+1. And it makes it where possibly Sabine decks could move away a little bit from this rebel package, which might allow them to get a little more value out of those dark sabers. You know, move away from that. It's a Jedi. Obviously, it's not Mandalorian. It would be really nice if it was. But at the same time, you don't have to have as many rebel units. You can start putting in more Mandalorian units to try to get some more value out of the dark saber. By the way, every card so far has been oriented correctly in this box, so not hating it. Makes me feel a little bit more comfortable about what we're getting out of these packs. Of course, I will say, I'll look back, but I don't think I've seen anything that's been amazing yet. Caught in the crossfire. Choose to the same range those units deals damage equal to its power. Yeah, the caught in the crossfire. I think it's hilarious. I think it could lead to some really funny plays. You seal out some, ambush something into your unit, takes a little bit of damage when killing your unit, and then you cast that on turn 5, which is not too crazy. Turn 4 even if possible. Have the big unit that just ambushed in and they thought it was safe fight one of the other smaller units that still hasn't attacked yet, and then the big unit kills that, and the other smaller unit finishes off the big unit, and you just 2-for-1 them. And that seems pretty good. Now let me check one other thing out. Does it say enemy units? Choose 2 enemy units. Yep, it is enemy units. Okay. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just looking to see if maybe you might be able to kill your own units and flip over Chancellor Palpatine with them. You know, always over here kind of brainstorming ideas. I haven't really put any decks yet together that have all of the new set 3 cards. Again, Slymore, take control of an enemy token unit. Just why? Why couldn't it say enemy unit? Or an enemy unit that has casting cost less than, or power less than, or something. But this take control of a token, we're going to have to see a lot more tokens for that card to be anywhere near playable in Constructed Star Wars Unlimited. We're getting down towards, I think I'm looking at either 5 or it might be as low as 4 packs. And we still have not seen a showcase leader, and we are not hitting the money on this pack either. That's a show, that's hyperspace, that's another legendary, and that's a foil regular. Alright. So, yep, we're down to the last 6 packs. And this was a little bit longer video than normal. I took some more time, kind of talking up the hyperdrive events and the shops that were involved with our premier shops, Energy Gamers and Myrtle Beach Games, and I wanted to give another shout out to Borderlands, talk a little bit about the planetary qualifiers, and that are hopefully coming out. We've given some information on it soon. So I can try to reach out to that shop that's in our region, especially if they do as few as they did. And the shop that was up in Greenville, they had 88 players. That's 12 seats. I would love to fill at least 2 of those with a winner from a hyperdrive event each, maybe 3 of those seats plus putting one seat with my behind in it too would be excellent. And if I should win a hyperdrive event, I would give, because I'm going to pick up a entry for myself if I am so fortunate enough. I got so lucky to get in this time. I missed the original posting. It filled up. They expanded the participation slots from 75, which I always thought was a weird number because you're like guaranteeing a buy, to 100, which is a much more reasonable number. I think they stopped short of the additional 28 to make it 128, just because of space in the shop. But that shop had a lot. That shop did really well. I'm just gonna give another shout out. Borderlands Comics and Games out of Greenville, or maybe the surrounding area of Greenville. They brought it, and they brought it well. And I, don't want to drive that far. I drove up there the night before, slept in my car. But how well they ran it, the Moff Gideon mask that I got, it spawned me getting the Darth Vader lightsaber and outfit all together, and just kind of really getting in the mood of the Halloween swing. They just can't say enough. The only thing I can say more than that is the other shops that participated in the hyperdrive events to get us, get everybody hyped up and up there and playing. Some good fun Star Wars Unlimited with a little bit of a competitive flair to it, to kind of get everybody ready for what was coming. And anybody that was part of the event at the Planetary Qualifiers will tell you that that Greenville event, they had to actually make an announcement in round 3 that hey, we're all here to have fun, but there is a serious reward on the line. That entry ticket in was a big deal. I was so hoping to be able to put my deck and the name and everything into that top 8, and I failed miserably. But it was a big deal. But they had to actually make a statement that you should be finishing your first game by like 17, 18 minutes. You should be finishing game 2 by like 33, 34 minutes, because you only got 55 minutes to play a match. And one of the things I don't like to do is call a judge over for slow play. I don't like that. I don't even know how to say it, because immediately your opponent thinks you're being a jerk, no matter what. Even in the sealed pre-release, I would make a comment of like, hey, you gotta make a play, because I was worried about the clock, and it was putting undue pressure on unnecessary pressure on my opponent. And so what I do now, and what I was doing at the PQ, is I would just take my hand, I'd set it over to the side, and I had a little Groku token, I put it on top of it. And when I do that, whenever I set my hand down, I put my token on top of it, I'm just sitting there looking at you. That is me trying to express that I need you to go ahead and do something. Especially if you've got 5 out of 6 resources tapped, and you've got 2 guys you can choose to attack with, and there's not a whole lot of combat math to do. Or if it's like in the first 1, 2, 3 turns, and I understand resourcing can be, take a little time for your resourcing. I get that. That's fair. You want to resource away the right card because you don't want to regret it later. There we go. There's a legendary hyperspace gore. Could be happier. A fine edition. Don't really care for it. And we have another hyperspace vault. We got two hyperspaces there in the last 3 cards. Not bad. That was the end of the box, though. So as far as legendaries go, this box produced 1, 2, 3, 'It's at least 4 because of that card. So we ended up with 2 duplicates, which this might now be the new mall, because that gives me 4 of those that are basic frame. Plus I think I've got, I mean, there's one right there in that stack, you know, from the first box out of this case. So anyway, there's our 4 legendaries that we pulled out of this box. Doubles of both. Thoughts on that, folks? Make comment, you know, give us a comment how you feel about the way these boxes are, these packs are mapped, the boxes and the cases. I mean, it still kind of feels random, but it also kind of feels like clumpy, and like you could maybe get 2 cases from one shipment from one shop, and then maybe go to another shop and get 2 boxes or 2 cases from them, and then like one, you know, the boxes, the cases you got from one shop would have certain cards that are clumped together in them, while the other box have completely different cards clumped together. Instead of both shipments and both areas, you know, both sets of cases having just a nice random mix. One thing I did notice, this might be the first box we did not get any rare lands. Please let that be the case. Yeah, we did not get any rare lands unless I've accidentally put one in here. Could have done that. But, you know, that's a bonus. It's pretty bad when it's a bonus that you don't get a rare base, because they decided to put these rare bases in the rare slots. And it's just like, okay, now every legendary is harder to get. Every rare unit and event and upgrade is harder to get. And now you always have like a throwaway base. Always. I don't know if they did it just because they felt like every pack needed to have tokens, because there's so much token synergy in this set. I'm hoping that's the only reason they did it. If they continue doing that moving forward, like say set 4 does that, I will be making a lot of emails and video content and just expressing my disgust with that, because I believe they did a disservice to every single player in this community by doing that in these boxes. And you know, if you feel the same, express yourself. If you feel a difference, please explain yourself. I would love to have the comments and the conversations about how you feel about these packs. So please do that. And that, for right now, though, is going to end this video. So as always, cheers to all of you, and may the force be with you until the next time we meet. And we will go into the second half of case 2 with the opening of box number 4. And you'll all have a great night.